Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video on this recent situation because I have too much to say for my typical Twitter threads. If you don't know what happened, there is a YouTuber called Creepshow Art. Her name is Shannon. She has about 250,000 subscribers and she makes commentary videos. She recently made a video about a Twitter artist by the name of Strawberry Milk, or Aggie, essentially accusing Strawberry Milk of drawing CP. She made these claims because Strawberry Milk draws art and comics that have themes around sexual trauma and abuse of a child. To preface this video with some things, I am not claiming to be an expert in anything. I just wanted to share my thoughts as someone who keeps up with fandom discourse and drama and art drama like this. I know the situation with Strawberry Milk isn't really fandom related or with fictional characters this time, but it's in that same realm of art and drawings that I cover, and I felt the need to come to Aggie's defense because the harassment that she has received as a result of Shannon's video is awful and uncalled for. Initially, I did record and was going to upload a video of me reacting to Shannon's video as I watched it, but that audio got messed up, so I thought it'd be better to take some time to gather my thoughts and make a more proper video response. Still, I'm going to include a few snippets of my reaction because they include clips of Shannon's videos that I want you guys to hear for yourself. First thing I want to cover is Creepshow insistently saying that Aggie's art is literally illegal.
And it lets the person who is blatantly breaking the law have a scapegoat.
She's not breaking the law, oh my god, you're so full of yourself.
The explicit artwork the person is creating is actually illegal. It's illegal.
It's not illegal.
Of Tumblr at me and telling me that art is valid and no, it's literally illegal. It's
not literally
not
illegal.
Good.
Because it's not, and Shannon's wrong to say that. I'm not a legal expert, so instead I will link to a video here by a YouTuber named Leah Rose. She's a law student, and she made this wonderful video addressed to Creepshow about how she screwed up in saying that it was illegal. Basically, to sum things up, saying art is illegal is not as concrete as Shannon acted like it is. It's a very complicated matter. There's a ton of factors. It varies from place to place. Obscenity law exists. It's a huge gray area, basically. So Shannon has no credibility in saying that the art is literally illegal as if that's a fact, because that's not easily proven. It's a lot of info, and again, I'm not an expert, so I just encourage all of you to pause this video and go watch Leah's video on the topic. A couple things I want to emphasize from Leah's video, though, is if Creepshow believes that this art is indeed CP, why would you repost it? First of all, CP is not the most proper term to use. The more accurate suggested term is CSEM, which stands for Child Sexual Exploitation Material. It's a crime. It's videos and photos documenting the abuse of real children. It's a really disgusting, awful thing. If you stumble across it online, you should immediately report it to the proper channels. You should at least report it to the site that you're using. You can report it to the FBI's tip line. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has a tip line as well. What you don't do is you don't download it or screenshot it so that you can save it to your computer to censor it and include it in your YouTube video. Leah pointed out that if Strawberry Milk's art is ever considered to be CSEM in a court, then Shannon would be found culpable too in spreading this material, which is also a crime. Fandom police do this all the time too on Twitter. They make call-out tweets about fan artists drawing CP and include that art in their call-out posts, and all they're really doing is just spreading not safe for work art farther than it would have gone originally outside of the proper 18+ labeled account that it was posted in. It's so asinine, and I never thought I'd see a huge YouTuber do the same thing, but here we are. That's just proof to me that they know this art isn't CP. Shannon even called it the cartoon version of CP in her video.
Exception to all invalid, as if you're an adult who is showing children in lewd ways and making the cartoon version of CP for an avid fanbase of adults.
Did you get that? The cartoon version of CP. So she knows that Aggie's art is not CP because she wouldn't treat real CSEM like this. She wouldn't blur it out and put it on a YouTube video. She wouldn't take a photo of a topless child and put a censor bar with the letters WTF over it for her thumbnail. You wouldn't post direct links to its source for others to go see. You wouldn't do that with CSEM. But people insist on calling art of highly stylized characters CP anyway. This goes for Creepshow and any other clown on Twitter making call-out posts by reposting artists' work, censored or not, under the guise of warning others about it or encouraging others to report it. You know that art is not CP and that artist is not drawing CP, or else you wouldn't be sharing those images. So stop accusing artists of these things. The next topic I want to discuss is how Shannon completely misrepresented Aggie's art and disregarded trauma survivors who choose to cope through art. Let me start with this, that I'm not a fan of Aggie's content. I think her art style is nice and that she's a talented artist, but I find her art to be really disturbing and the content dark, and that's not for me. That doesn't mean that her art is bad or wrong, though. Art is allowed to be disturbing and cause these kinds of reactions and stir these emotions in people. Her art just isn't something that I would normally choose to seek out or pay money to access. But for the sake of this video, I went out of my comfort zone and read Puppy Milk so that I would have full context of what it entailed, and it's not a pretty story. It's very clearly horrific, it's traumatic, it's a gut-wrenching comic about a trans child growing up in an abusive environment. I never experienced the abuse and trauma that's portrayed in it, but it made me feel sad and unsettled, as it should, because child abuse is sad and unsettling. So for Shannon to act as though Aggie's art is nothing but titillating not safe for work fan art, or obviously for fun, as she put it,
sexual relationship, their siblings, and cheat on, obviously for fun, and also
it's very clear that Shannon didn't read the comic at all. She only saw snippets of the worst parts of it with zero context. I guess that the cutesy art style may be misleading, but Aggie even describes it as a trauma comic on her Gumroad page. If anything, the cutesy style is just an artistic choice. It juxtaposes the actual horror that's happening in the story. And I don't blame Shannon or anyone for not reading it. Of course, if it's something you find disturbing, don't read it. I wouldn't force anyone to read it or look at it or any of her other art pieces. But if you're not going to bother reading it, then don't talk about it and don't make a video about it accusing the abuse survivor artist of being a predator for making a comment about her own trauma. Now to address Creepshow's statement that using art to cope is BS.
and their reasoning for doing so is also garbage. Strawberry Milk or Aggie has stated that they are drawing this, and in drawing this, that has helped them cope with trauma. But I call bullshit.
You're not a psychologist, Shannon. There's so many survivors of CSA who say that art helps them to cope with their trauma and who say their therapists even approve of and encourage it. Art therapy is a thing. Whether that's drawing your own art or looking at art from others who have experienced similar trauma, it's a thing and it's valid. There's published award-winning literature that's similar to Aggie's art. I won't be posting any pages of this novel due to its nature, but there is an author by the name of Debbie Dressler who wrote a graphic novel called Daddy's Girl. It's a semi-autobiographical story about rape and incest, and it was nominated for an award and included in a top 100 comics list that year. Trauma is valid literature. It's valid art, so I don't know who Shannon thinks she is to say otherwise. Just because you can't wrap your head around it doesn't make it BS. You have invalidated so many trauma survivors who do use this kind of art to cope. And I think that's the issue with a lot of people online right now in fandom circles and internet circles like this. It's just this lack of empathy and sympathy for others. And I apologize that I'm about to sound like a teacher giving a lecture, but I think this is the root cause for a lot of issues and drama online these days. People just have absolutely no compassion for others. I know it might be hard for some people to put themselves in someone else's shoes, but you should at least try it. Try to understand where someone is coming from or why they do things. And consider that people aren't a hive mind either. Just because one survivor told you that they think this artist is bad, that doesn't make it fact, and that doesn't make them the spokesperson for all survivors. Coping from trauma is especially a complicated situation, and what's considered healthy is going to vary from individual to individual. There is no one single cookie cutter acceptable way to cope. There are so many valid ways to cope, and some of them may look messy or ugly in your eyes, but you need to accept the fact that it's still valid for them and stop throwing around such heavy accusations at people. The next thing I just want to briefly cover, because it pissed me off and I could chew her out about this for a really long time, was when she compared Strawberry Milk to Jessica Yaniv. I got so angry.
Predators. Except yes, they obviously. Do we all remember Eve?
Yes. Look, I disagree with Aggie's statement that you can never call a trans person a predator because anyone, regardless of their gender or gender identity, is capable of being a predator, and Yaniv is an example of that. But you certainly shouldn't be calling anyone a predator when the only strike you have against them is that you think their art is gross. And that's all you have against Aggie. That is not proof or evidence enough. So for Shannon to compare Yaniv, who has a solid case against her for being a predator, who has had very disgusting online exchanges with children and has made disgusting comments about children, and compare that person to Aggie, who again is a trauma survivor making cope art, that's not a fair comparison, and to be frank, it's very upsetting. To take a survivor minding her own business in her corner of Twitter making art and compare her to a known predator is really insensitive and tone deaf. And I think Shannon owes Aggie and other survivors an apology for that. I've actually liked Shannon's videos covering predators like Onision, and that's why it frustrates me to see her go after an artist whose only crime is drawing art that Shannon thinks is gross, when there are people out there like Onision and Dabby Vanity and Jessica Yaniv who have solid cases against them based on their actual behavior and actions. So it was very upsetting to see Shannon put a small Twitter artist in the same category as Yaniv and the rest of them. To move on to the next point, this was a witch hunt, whether that was Shannon's intent or not. She acted very irresponsibly given the size of her following. Girl, you have 250,000 subscribers on YouTube. Aggie at the time had 1 point something thousand followers on Twitter. It's a way to punch down, first of all. And in your half-assed attempts at trying to prevent your audience from harassing her.
Before I get started, I do want to say, do not go to this person's social media and send them. Do not send them anything, and do not interact with this person at all.
Shannon is not that naive. She knew most of her followers were not going to just quietly go report the accounts and move on, especially after she spent the entire 14 minutes calling this person a predator or insinuating that they are one. She knew her followers would leave a nasty comment on Aggie's Twitter. My favorite part was how she made her audience pinky promise that they wouldn't go harass this person.
Yep, you shouldn't do it ever, so don't do it. With that way, and with you having pinky promise that you won't go.
Like she was talking to a class of preschoolers. Not to mention her video description, which she has since edited and changed, but which originally linked to all of Aggie's pages, directing her audience to go report if you want to. And to go back to the first point of this video, if this art is indeed CP, why are you directing more people to it? I saw lots of kids in Shannon's videos, comments, and in Aggie's mentions who said something along the lines of, I never knew this artist before, but this is gross. So all Shannon did was succeed in spreading Aggie's art to more people, including minors, who otherwise would have been blissfully unaware of its existence. So way to go, Shannon. There's more I could say about Creepshow's videos. There were some other things she said that I could nitpick at, but I think this covers all the bases and there's no need for me to waste my breath more. Others have basically covered everything too, and I also want to try to keep this video under 15 minutes, so I'll link to a few more videos from other people talking about the situation. One last thing though. I think other tweets and posts and videos addressing this have given Shannon the benefit of the doubt, which I can understand. I know Shannon's used her platform to warn about predators before, and I admire that about her. Maybe Shannon had good intentions here, but at some point just got lost in a quest for clout. But that's concerning for me because what she did here happens so often in fandom spaces on Twitter and Tumblr. This habit of accusing people of being predators because of fan art and fanfic is becoming a much more regular thing. On the daily, fandom content creators are accused of being predators or making content for predators because they drew not safe for work art of some anime teen like Nezuko, or the characters from Boku no Hero Academia, or because they ship an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. People have been harassed to the point of self-harming and have even been doxxed and have had their parents or employers contacted about their ships. This is going to ruin people's lives, or worse, and all over anime, fanfic, and fan art, and ships. It's ridiculous, and this seems to be happening more frequently. Watch my other videos on fandom police. Anyone remember that Betty Tell's Twitter account with almost 300,000 followers who called another account a child predator because they accidentally followed a lowly art account? Are you starting to see a pattern here? And that's why I'm concerned and annoyed about this. To see this bleed over onto YouTube by a huge YouTuber no less is really disheartening. And that's why I have such an issue with Creepshow's videos on Aggie. She's just riling up these types of people, these fandom police, even more, and making them feel validated because they see this YouTuber they look up to doing it also, and they're going to continue to harass others for JoJo Bizarre Adventure ships. To end this video, I know this isn't going to reach Creepshow because my platform is tiny on here, but I just wanted to shed some light on why Shannon's in the wrong and hopefully reach out to some of her viewers and get them to reconsider the situation and think of it from a different angle. And that's it. I hope you all stay safe and healthy and have a good day. Bye guys.